Yes.
So during my 2 years of IB, I've gone through a lot of CAS. Some of these activities would include taking part in all of the various theater productions, such as Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Spring Awakening, and Les Mis, of course, which you know of because you guys were all there. All of these productions allowed me, I felt, to develop my singing voice and its strength, as well as my confidence in performing in front of a crowd, which is one of my goals that I wanted for each of these activities. I also was able to show and develop my school skills as a leader. As I am one of the older students in the CAS, we were often put in charge of looking after the little ones and helping them understand what was often happening, or asking them to be quiet and listen to Miss Swanson or Mr. Graham and what they were talking about, making me a communicator and as well being a leader for the little kids to look up to, as well as a trusted person for Miss Swanson and Mr. Graham to go to look after the children. Overall, through these shows, which would take up half of the school year, I was able to become a more confident performer and a more stronger leader and probably a better communicator. I am very pleased to have been able to have so much of my IB happening when our school was creating these shows. Now the next, I'm sticking with the arts right now with my CAS, so I'll now be talking about choir. I've taken part in singing in all of the choir concerts, both in high school and in girls' choir. Throughout all of my years in high school, I've participated in high school choir, as I felt, having been a new student at St. John's, it would be a beneficial way for me to meet new people from all around the grades of St. John's. And even as I continue through that, I can see that I'm becoming friends with younger grades. I'm becoming several girls in freshman year I'm now close with because I spent time with them. I spent time with them in the musical, and I spent time with them now in choir. I can now that and having carried on doing so, I can see what benefit this had on my life. Because of choir, I have grown to know the more various cultures from around the world and the various types of music, as we have sung different songs in Swahili and another language that I'm not totally sure of, and of course French, which is strange because we all live in Belgium and none of us really knew how to sing the French songs. I feel this is a clear example of how I've developed through my IB, as I am now able to reflect on the importance of the cultural influence in music and how it has built me to be more knowledgeable of other cultures.
Can I ask you something about how did you balance all this after-school activity with your academics?
It was very difficult for me to balance it at first because I was spending so much time at school, and then I would go home, and then I'd eat dinner, and then I had such little time to work. But then I found that I would schedule myself to work on exactly what I needed to do that day. So I have a list on my computer, things that you need to get done overall, and then things you need to get done tonight. And I found that to be very helpful, and even if I didn't get through them, I used my free periods that I was provided in the most effective manner, being able to work on my extended essay when that was happening, or my different IAs that I have to do for classes.
And where do you think this skill could be useful, balancing?
Oh, it's definitely going to be useful for the rest of my life, because I think everyone needs to learn time management, because everyone needs to know how to take priority on the subjects that you do or the assignments that you do in the workforce or in school. And then I thought that I enjoyed that spending so much time at school and having so much of not having free time, it really helped me, it benefited my skills as getting stuff done and realizing how I can work. Great. Yeah. May I carry on with my CAS activities? Another CAS activity that I took apart was the Belgian Young Life group. This is an American-based group who aims to spread awareness in the teachings of God into international communities. I'm going to Young Life regularly on Wednesday evenings, where I get the chance to spend time with wonderful leaders and students from all over the world and from different grades of the high school. And oftentimes we have guest speakers to work alongside the Young Life community. Like this past Wednesday, we had a speaker, Christopher O'Shaughnessy, who has spoken at the school several times. He came to speak to us because he's a good friend of Young Life. What Young Life has most famously done for me is what they most famously do is they organize service projects around the world to help communities in need. I have done two, one during my IB junior year and then another year. During my IB junior year, we went to Thessaloniki, Greece. I believe I said that right. And during this trip, we traveled into the mountains of Greece to rebuild an old playground and construct a little social area for the community, as the place that we were was kind of, I don't want to say dirty, but it was very, it wasn't good for kids to be around there. So we just cleaned up the area. We built tables and benches, and we painted the playground again, and we interacted with school children, and it was a lot of fun. It gave me the insight of the global importance of how to help others and meet where everyone is able. Because I didn't have to go on this trip. I didn't have to take part in this, but I'm really glad that I did, because I was able to not only see a different culture that is in Greece, but also see how kind of how their economic crisis has affected them, and how some of these areas are torn apart and just kind of crumbling. And I thought I was really happy that we were able to rebuild just a little bit of it, because of course we didn't rebuild an entire community. We rebuilt a little bit, and hopefully that now it's a place where they can go and relax and they can have a good time.
Great. Okay, let me ask you something now, because that we can also read. So was there anything that surprised you, something you learned about yourself that you didn't expect throughout this 18 months?
I learned that I'm a very organized person compared to a lot of other people. I learned that I'm very much in control of what I need to get done and what I need to do. Like, particularly with the service project to Greece, I was able to get exactly done what they told me to do, and often when others weren't getting that done, I would help them out. So there was a moment when we had to bring plywood from the bus to the area that we were leaving, it was like about a 5-minute walk or something. And I got done with like my portion to bring quickly, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go help other people. And then when they got done with that, I made sure that the piles? Yeah, piles. It's the pieces of wood.
To burn them or just pile them?
Well, we put them in stacks. So we would bring them, and we kind of made sure that they weren't in the way, I think I really guys, don't put them in the pathway, put them kind of in the ground that we're not gonna, so no one, because obviously people still walk through the town, and so that way they weren't obstructing any.
So you had an overview of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you something. What advice would you give to upcoming CAS students? Grade 10, about to start. In terms of because
of terms what to do.
Your CAS is obviously beyond just doing it for the requirements, but how did you get this understanding that you did for yourself?
I dedicated a lot of time to understanding what CAS was, and so last year when I would meet with Mr. Johnston, and I had him sit down and tell me what do I need to do for CAS, what are the requirements, and what will be the outcome of what I need to do. And then so I kind of made a list of everything that I needed to do, and I don't have that list anymore because I had it at the beginning of last year because I wanted to start off my CAS good, and then I wanted to continue with it, and then I would just look back at my old reflections. But I definitely, you gotta stick to CAS. You gotta stick to it. I dedicated at least one free period every 2-week cycle to just writing CAS reflections.
Okay.
Because then I was able to reflect on the stuff that I did in those 2 weeks, and then also I wasn't stressed about later when they were gonna be like, oh, we're checking your reflections. Got it done. Yeah.
Great. Anything you want to ask or add?
I have other activities that I can talk to you about, or if we're running out of time, then we don't have to.
We're kind of running out of time.
Okay.
Do you have a question or something you want to say to finish?
I think having done CAS in my IB, well, it was kind of a pain to be like, oh God, you have to keep up your social life with CAS, and while you're doing the IB, I think overall I'm happy that I did it, because then CAS made me like, oh, I gotta get out of the house, I gotta socialize, I can't just be studying all the time, and I'm really happy with that, because that's made me, it introduced me to other people, when I went to Greece, and it's introduced me to different people in the arts, and being part of prom committee is that one of my CAS activities, it helped me, now I know how to plan an event.
Great.
So, I think it was beneficial overall, so I'm glad I did it.
Thank you very much.